21 days naked in the wilderness. No food, no water. One piece of cloth with only snow and ice. Animals and the will to survive. The harsh Rocky Mountains with a cold of -10 degrees Celsius. Winds howl 140 kilometers per hour. And the predators are always stalking Dave. Former soldier in charge. He survived 6 months in the wild. Now face a terrifying test. Eating poisonous mushrooms that almost froze to death. And a small mistake. It could cost you your finger or your life. Sara, the girl who was homeless. Can we survive the severe snowstorm? Or will surrender to the harshness of nature? This is not a movie. Here's the reality. AI will be the winner of 100,000 United States dollars. AI will fall. Let's see the fight for survival. Punching tears and sweat. We're the line between life and death. It's just as fragile as a silk. Programs for people over 18 years old. If you are under 18, please do not watch. This is the eastern edge of the North American Continental Divide, the Rocky Mountains of Montana, towering in the wilderness at an altitude of more than 1,900 meters. It's early winter. Blizzards covered this land with ice and snow. Daytime temperature below 10 degrees. At night the temperature drops below zero. Not only that, the wind here can even reach 140 cubic meters per hour. A severe snowstorm could strike at any time. Ice and snow create the harshest environment. It's made it extremely difficult to survive here. The player is 28-year-old Dave. I was a Marine. Infantry in the United States Army. You're the operator of the battleship in the Navy's Special Forces. I've been used to the cold environment for a long time. When he joined the Army, he attended many training schools, learned a lot of wilderness survival training. You don't just have theories on paper, but also practice yourself. I lived alone in the wilderness for 6 months. You are my only companions. They're hunting dogs. I have experience. Facing the cold weather, being harsh is an advantage. So his initial survival score was 7.2. The beautiful female player is 27-year-old Sara. You're a mechanic. Her job is to build industrial machinery. Jiang and the Dead Doctor. You also face challenges in extremely cold areas. So she has some experience dealing with cold climates. She's been homeless since she was a child, so she's very independent. She has a certain knowledge of botany. These factors greatly increased her ability to survive. You join the challenge with the desire to prove yourself and win the prize money to settle down. Both ride to the challenge site. According to the rules of the program, players must take off all their clothes. The weather here is really cold. In such a cold place, freezing and things like that are normal. Skin tissue will be frostbitten or frozen within 15 minutes. Heavy case, it may take a few fingers or toes. Not long after, I felt my legs were gone. It was so fast that we both met at a vacant lot. Rather than each other, take off your shirt. Naked AI as well as AI. After a brief greeting and introducing yourself. To ease the embarrassment, two people turn their attention to the device. Except for the most basic lighter. This time the show gave to people an animal skin. It's dedicated to challenging environments. The cold is harsh. Sara brought an iron pot to boil water. They choose to bring a knife. Two people take a knife to cut the skin. Animals make shoes and clothes on the spot. Then you open up the map to study the route. Sara asked Date, what's the most important thing in survival? Of course there must be a lot of water. They both decided to go to the river. After the deal is done, they both left without hesitation. Here they're not just dealing with cold weather. Also have to be careful with live predators. In this area, there are powerful grizzly bears in North America, ferocious mountain lions and moose, and wild wolves. You didn't go far. Large footprints were found under the snow. This forces you to be more careful. You to continue on your way. No one has a problem. They both found an ideal campsite. Tongue giant cypress tree provides natural shelter. Further below is a pile of hay. This will provide warmth. And a fire starter for two. Both divide the work. Sara is responsible for starting the fire. The kitchen will perfect the weather shelter. Here or change. Both of you must have the most positive attitude. And prepare for the best, as well as the worst that happens. Your work is going very well. The kitchen cut a lot of wood and went back to building the camp. With the cooperation between the two, the first day seems to have started well. The night is falling fast. During the day you get a lot of wood. But the number is not enough. It burns out late at night. So we both have to stay up in the middle of the night looking for wood. The first night was a painful experience. The next morning, you two learned yesterday's 7 failures. We should decide today. Collect 10 enough firewood and expand the camp area. But first, warm up with some hot water. Lucky Date. Looking for wood, he came across a small mouse. Sara was surprised to look at the small thing, only this 5 cal. She decided to use it as bait. Date continued to collect 10 wood. Sara's going to trade this little thing for something bigger. She went to the lake and tried to use it as bait to catch fish. After the trap is set, the next thing is to wait. The weather changed as soon as you arrived at the camp. The sky is warm but a cold wind cut through. Temperature drops below the 8 degrees. You can just shut up and stay in camp. It felt so bad and it was a cold night. The cold broke Sara down and she wanted to go home. She was defeated by the Rocky Mountains. It's cold. She invited the date to play games to warm up. But you refuse. Tuesday morning. Still lonely. Even when left alone. I will continue to challenge. You have experience and know what you need most. I can't run around like yesterday. When you're alone, you have to preserve your strength. I sleep until the sun shines on you. Before waking up, you finish all your plans when the temperature's high outside. I'm going to upgrade the camp today. He wrapped the bark around the camp to block the wind. This will help you sleep better at night. Time to the 4th day. An animal broke into my camp last night. Now I'm looking everywhere. I don't know what this is. I was shocked to see it. I saw fresh deer dung around the camp. This discovery makes you uncomfortable. Animals as large as moose. I'm afraid a blow will make me fall. My head feels numb thinking about it. He quickly turned his mind to work. I've been hungry for 3 days, so he's going out to get some food. But it's been a long way. There is no clear benefit. That's when I remembered Sara's hook. But the shame is you don't know where it is. I can only search by the river. Watching the fish swim in the river, I'm helpless. On the way back to camp, I found a lot of mushrooms, but there's a problem. I don't know if this thing is poisonous or not. You try by putting some on your lips. See what the effect is. Fortunately, no adverse symptoms after the night has passed. You go back to the river. All I can think of is fish. Whatever you say today, you've got to find the hook. Even when he's looking hard. A female voice suddenly stopped me. When you look like a new player. Your Lavra you have unfortunately left. Challenge. Baby. Now the leg wound is almost healed. After Dave explained the current situation to Lavra. You to find the hook together. Then he took Lavra back to camp. Lavra asked if there was any food in the kitchen. I took out a lot of mushrooms. I checked the smell yesterday. There was no adverse reaction. So I'm going to try one today. Lavra was very worried when she saw this. You can only secretly hope that nothing's going to happen to Dave. Not long after, she realized Dave was much colder than she'd imagined. Been here for a while. Lavra finally felt the bitter cold. Her mouth and face began to lose sensation. You can just curl up and crouch in a shelter. Date after finding the hook. You can start your fishing plan. When you're fishing, the weather suddenly changes. Strong wind blowing. I can't stand by the river. In the cold wind take out and wait for the fish to bite. Looks like you can only go back empty-handed today. Lavra understood deeply how difficult it is to survive in the snow and ice. It's like sleeping on ice all night. It's annoying. It's made you look rather gaunt since you got here. Today they both decided to reinforce the camp, preparing to build the wind shield. It seems like yesterday's strong wind. It's caused a lot of psychological darkness for both of you. With the cooperation of 2 people, this job can be completed quickly. After finishing the kitchen happily eat mushrooms, but Laura's still a little resistant. The kitchen tried it first, but Laura's still doubting her life. You think this will be a challenge for you to regain your honor. But that's not true. It's so cold you can't control it. So, now you're considering whether to give up or not. Another day goes by, and Laura's condition is still very bad. Your flexibility is not as good as before, and you can't exert any power. It's hard to grab a tree. You are very contradictory now, filled with desperate thoughts. Dave's coldness in the weather here. He completely defeated you. You will choose the same path as Sara. To the next Tuesday. Day 20 for Century Handsome. From 6.ba to 5.1. She said Date is really a very cold person. Backdate is a lonely person on the sofa. Probably since the challenge program started. You're the first player so weak. It seems Lavra was right to give up the challenge early. As soon as she left, the snow on the mountain began to fall. The kitchen is confused. After a nap when you wake up. The snow outside was 6 to 70 inches higher. You can just squat in the camp to keep warm. It snowed for 2 days. When it stopped, it was the 9th day. Date took time to go to the lake, and I want to catch some fish to replenish my body. You stand by the lake for hours at risk of frostbite. Fortunately, your hard work will be rewarded. I caught 5 fish. It's a big harvest. But before luck comes, luck knocks on the door. You accidentally set the camp on fire while you were cooking fish. Fortunately, the fire burned in one corner of the camp, but it's much worse than that. You start to lose focus and become delirious. Emergency program to call medical personnel to check date is in bad condition. After being diagnosed, the doctor determined that the mushroom you ate could be poisonous. Dangerous situation. The program was forced to intervene, so you'd give up the ordeal and go to the hospital for treatment. Finally, experts identified what lettuce ate as chicken mushrooms. Everybody, baby. This challenge tells us, appreciate life and stay away from wild mushrooms. Like that. Dave's ordeal had to stop on day 13. In the next section, a man and a woman working together to survive in the wilderness. Do not bring food, drinking water, and no clothes. If you pass the challenge, you will receive a $100,000 bonus. The challenge this time takes place in the area of the Battery Ghost Kingdom, medieval South Africa. This is the steppe caused by drought. For nearly 1,000 years there was no trace of human life. Where there's the largest population of wild animals in the world. Most of the animals, they're all attracted to water. The only one here. The first person to appear was male player Eric. He's a retired war veteran. Since retirement, life makes you a little fat. And even a little bit lazy. I joined this program to lose weight. In addition to showing the passion for survival in the heart. If player Kelly is a psychopath, the way you raise your children is different from other people's. You've taken them out of civilized society since they were kids. To survive in nature. I joined this program to find more interest. You know that. She has to survive with her opposite sex playmate. For 3 weeks, you are eager to start the challenge. Even if it rains, it doesn't stop. You two meet. I just met Eric staring at his team. I'm a little disappointed with the show for not pairing me with a young girl. Kelly sees Eric's not too big. It's not too small. She said this is the wrong thing she likes. She said she'd definitely study it later. When there's no AI around, both quickly get the map out and start studying it. They both agree. Decided to find the only source of water here first. Breakbeat. Eric captured a large, stranded catfish. And then they both found a nice little place nearby to use as a campsite. Save food before work. Then you to start your own business. The camp was built quickly. Eric did his best to light the fire. In this way, you'd played a big game, consuming a lot of energy. The next day, we both made a barbecue from a big catfish. It's added protein for both of you. After eating, they both peeked at the hippopotamus family bathing. To the night the hippopotamus actually got close to camp. This causes both of you to be on hand all the time. But Eric was fast asleep. This made Kelly angry on one side. Eric woke up early and noticed that something was wrong. So I went to get Kelly's pot of water. The next second I slipped and sprained his lips white with pain and at night. As soon as Kelly, I'm trying, whether you can unleash your passive skills or not. Running surrounded by elephants. This scares the two of you. To the point of not daring to act. They can only spend the night with their eyes wide open. The next day Eric's condition got worse and worse. I'm still a little embarrassed to call the medical team. But for the rest of my life, I'm still calling the medical team to check. After inspection, the situation is a little serious. Had to withdraw from the radiology hospital challenge. Eric said that even though he didn't want to leave. But for your own happiness and health. After Eric left, Kelly was left alone to continue the challenge. You can't sleep all night. Even worse, the sky wasn't beautiful, and it was raining very hard. But Kelly, baby, break the beat. The rest of the day, she relies on vegetarian food to maintain her fitness. There are often small animals outside the camp, and they bother you. You have to be careful every day. Time has come to the 20th day. Kelly made herself a pair of shoes. Think about how you can leave this damn place tomorrow. It kept her awake all night until the next morning. You had to leave early. But to get to the evacuation point, you have to overcome the dangers, avoid migratory elephants and wild animals. Finally, she climbed a steep slope, sending Kelly a weak signal despite the scorching sun. After an hour of walking, we finally climbed the high slope. She also saw the show's car take her home. Kelly said finally. We also saw the civilized atmosphere. It also shows your success in the challenge. In the next section, a male and a female naked as pupae, surviving in the wilderness. No food, no water, not even clothes. If you pass 21 days, you can get $100,000. Jerry has a beard but is less than 30 years old. Because I've loved to hunt since I was a kid. So, you're good at setting up traps. And build a camp. I've conquered every mountain alone. Before the contest, I used to think, I will be the new god of the show. If the player Anna is something very poker. Her usual hobby is to scare people. Naked at home. But your hobby. He was loved by everyone around him. You also learn training, survive the wild and survive in Alaska. Can you play with snakes with your hands? You join this challenge, just to devote and try your strangeness. As for the bonus, she said it doesn't matter. The challenge this time is going to the rainforest. Colombia has a river that flows through it. Limestone wall, and it also leaves a lot of dangerous holes on the way. Even though there are extremely venomous snakes, big fire ants, and piranhas in the water. But the most dangerous is the raging river. To survive here, you have to face the heavy rain. Non-stop, players can visit their home twice a month. If you don't pay attention, the atmosphere is clear. It's very awkward when two naked people meet. To be less confused, both check the furniture, then hastily plan the route. If you want fresh water, you have to go through a deep, wet cliff. Fortunately, the program provided a flashlight. It saves a lot of trouble for both of you in the process of moving, but until you're both through. The road is blocked by the fast-flowing river, even though they're both good swimmers. But after crossing the river successfully, you two are almost at your best. Besides, it's getting dark. Two people don't have time to build a shelter. You can only collect 10 leaves to prepare for the night. But what you didn't expect was, because the leaves are used as beds when you're sleeping at night, both were actually attacked by leaf ants. The next day they both had scars all over their bodies. To avoid becoming food for ants, they both left the camp in a hurry. After a long search, the people found a place by the river. Then, started collecting 10 building materials without saying a word. After working hard most of the day, they finally built a new shelter. But I thought you'd have a good show tonight. In the evening, the heavy rain suddenly came. Water leakage begins due to poor waterproofing in the camp. There's a little water coming out, but it doesn't matter if the people play the game. After that night, the two of you clearly became more energetic. Then the two took advantage, when I was still physically fit, found more items to reinforce. Waterproof for camp. As soon as you think it's safe. In the evening, the heavy rain suddenly came. And this torrential rain caused the river to rise. In an instant, the river flowed back to the camp. You have to escape from the camp. After struggling all night, the next day found out. The camp was destroyed after heavy rain last night. If you don't react in time, maybe you'll be swept away by the flood. Until now, they had no choice but to move. Once again, you've learned your lesson. Stay away from the river this time. But the people in the forest were attacked by ants. 3 camps in the first 3 days. As a result, the strength of the other two is very small. If you want to survive, you need to find food as soon as possible. But what you didn't expect was, before you go looking for food, the right food comes in front of you. Two people see a nest with 2 eggs. They took all the eggs. Even the nest does not let go of the dirt. Eat grilled bird eggs. Jerry didn't think, what will the mother bird look like when she returns? In the evening, the two met with heavy rain. Nothing to worry about for a week in a row. Can't rest. You just start thinking about your standards. In addition, the body is consuming fat quickly. To survive, both start hungry. Eating live snails, devouring a grasshopper. Many foods don't have time to process, so use it directly. This way with a couple of supplements. Baby, baby, baby. Last resort, both decided to set the trap. A violent wind suddenly came. Wait until the storm passes. 25 minutes of heavy destruction. Fortunately, you two escaped. The first mission of the 2 survivors, after today's disaster, is search. Find food later. Check the trap first. But no harvest was received, and many days passed in a row. Pull her soul. They can find new food sources. For this reason, the two gritted their teeth and decided to make a fish basket. But the truth is cruel, waiting for a day to pass. Hopeful fish baskets get nothing. Even the trapping baskets are swept away by the river and disappear without a trace. But below 70 feet, again and again, they both collapsed on a thought of her husband and wife. A surging power, and the pain comes back to you. Again, time to day 19. You've already started preparing to evacuate. If you want to get to an evacuation site, you have to successfully cross the river. Like a fast-flowing river, it makes two weak people unable to overcome. The last option is for both to decide to evacuate early. After a 2-day walk in the wilderness, they both finally reach the evacuation point. They didn't just win the final prize. It also proves, we know that perseverance leads to success. Analysis and educational lessons. A willpower vs actual physical limits. To persist for 13 days of mushroom poisoning, Sara gave up because she couldn't stand the cold. Lesson: strong will can push back against adversity. But understand your limits. Not to risk your life. 2 dangers from actual nature. Snowstorm grizzly bear. Moose is life-threatening in a matter of seconds. Always respect nature, no matter who you are. Nature does not forgive subjectivity. BA. The fatal mistake. In fact, I almost died from eating a strange mushroom. West challenges South Africa almost to be trampled on. Lesson: never experimented with wild plants. Eat only what you are sure is safe. For practical teamwork. Eric, South Africa gave up because of a sprain. Leave Kali alone. Face the danger. Lesson: group survival needs trust and support. If not, you will become a burden. Of advice from the program. 1. Prepare skills to learn how to fire water filter. Recognize poisonous plants before going wild. 2. Always on alert. Hungry weather animals. The danger is always lurking. BA. Don't risk your life. Bonus 100,000 United States dollars. Nonsense. If you don't live to get it. For respect for nature. You're just a guest in the wild. Humility is not a joke. It challenges you by threatening your life. Learn from the mistakes of others. Because sometimes you only get one chance. Do you dare to challenge yourself like them? Please share your thoughts.